So Caleb, I want to get your thoughts on forced to vote, how a lot of these synthetic leftists are coming at Jimmy Dore, saying that what he's doing is wrong for calling out AOC, for putting pressure on politicians, that he's supposed to be nicer to politicians, that we're not supposed to we're not supposed to be yelling at politicians. I know you have your thoughts on that, but go ahead and explain what you think. Like, do you think forced to vote is a good idea, and what do you think of all these people that are attacking Jimmy Dore for this movement?
Well, I'm a fan of Jimmy Dore. I have been for a long time. I've been watching his material for years. So a couple weeks ago, I saw Jimmy Dore trending on Twitter, and I thought, oh, that must just be trending for me because I like Jimmy Dore. And then I saw, no, it's trending for all of Twitter. Yeah. And I thought, what in the world is going on here? So I clicked on the trending link, and all of a sudden I'm seeing all these people cussing out Jimmy Dore. Like, Jimmy Dore is awful. He's horrible. He's, you know, and I'm just like, what in the world is going on? I mean, you'd have thought the guy had like raped and murdered somebody, or it turned out he was the mastermind behind 9/11 or something. Well, what happened was Jimmy Dore had forced the vote, and he basically said that instead of just voting for Nancy Pelosi to be Speaker of the House, the squad should make some demands and demand that they bring Medicare for all to a vote right now during a pandemic when it's a hot issue. Well, what's wrong with that? That's fine. Go ahead, right? But no, you would have thought that he had committed like the worst crime of the century. And it was bizarre. And all these people were just lining up, right? Just lining up like one after another. All these people that have been like selected for us as the voice of the left were just lining up to come down on Jimmy Dore. And what I noticed was that, this had nothing to do with international issues. This was purely a domestic issue about health care in the United States and bringing it to a vote. But all the people that had attacked Jimmy Dore over this also were people that supported the overthrow of the Syrian government, also were people that had thrown Venezuela under the bus and denounced Venezuela, also were people that were playing up the Russiagate hysterics and saying that Russia rigged our elections and was responsible for Trump. And then I noticed that in their digs at Jimmy Dore, they would throw in things like, oh, he took money from Assad. Except he didn't take money from Assad. He won an award. And the award was not paid for by the Syrian government. It was paid for by a group of Syrian Americans, like U.S. citizens, who want peace in their country and don't want the U.S. government to continue supporting the terrorists. And it was like $2,000. But they're baiting him. He took Assad money. And I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, And this forced the vote controversy, it really was a moment that kind of separated the sheep from the goats, so to speak, right? It was pretty clear who's on what side. And all the people that are pro-imperialist but call themselves socialist were also against force the vote. And all the people that were genuinely anti-war and anti-imperialist also were supporting force the vote. If you generally, don't want the USA meddling around the world, and you don't favor new coups and new destabilization efforts, you also want Medicare for all. But if you're one of these Democratic Party grifters who's out there, hustling for the Democrats, if you're part of the Jacobin crowd or whatever, you're not only are you going to attack international countries and follow the mainstream media's cues about who to go after, you might make socialist-sounding excuses for doing so, but you're also going to not fight to demand health care. Look, I've met AOC, and she seems like a great woman. I don't think she's a bad person. I think she's a politician, and politicians are in a situation. Politicians, it's a job. They have to get reelected. You know what I'm saying? And, AOC right now in the United States, we don't have a mass socialist grassroots movement to try and put pressure on AOC to do the right thing. Meanwhile, we have a CIA and we have a George Soros fake left to put pressure on her to do the bad thing. Well, Jimmy Dore is trying to counter that. He's trying to actually, have a mass movement that puts pressure on AOC to do the right thing. And it's very clear that there are forces that are set up not to fight for socialism, not to fight for peace around the world, but to kind of manage the movement and try to manage people that might be interested in socialism and make sure they stay within a certain framework, and that they're just good foot soldiers for one wing of the capitalist class that's fighting another wing of the capitalist class. And that seems to be what's going on here, and we can see where everybody stands, right? I mean, that's the good thing about this, is now we know where everybody stands. If you're against force the vote, if you're against Jimmy Dore, or if you're for Jimmy Dore, we can see what people are about. And you know what the crazy thing is? I saw that there was a poll among the audience of the Young Turks.
Yeah.
And even though the Young Turks went into overdrive bashing Jimmy Dore, the audience was on Jimmy Dore's side, showing that most progressive-minded people in the United States are anti-war, anti-imperialist, and want Medicare for all. It's these movement hustlers, right, who've been set up, the synthetic left, who've been set up to manage people. They're the ones that are trying to lead people astray. But in their guts, most people know Jimmy Dore is right. If you're a progressive, if you're a socialist in this country, you know Jimmy Dore is right.